What if the most disarming statement you could ever make is pure, deliberate silence? From the moment we're old enough to wave at strangers, we're drilled to be reachable. Keep the phone on vibrate, answer with a grin, not even when the answer in your gut is a hard no. Carl Jung warned that this public face, the persona, can strangle the soul if we mistake the mask for the man. And today, the numbers back him up. The average person taps their screen every 3 minutes, yanking themselves into micro-performances for anyone who pings. That constant readiness rewires the brain like a lab rat conditioned for sugar water. Button pushers notice. They test you with a half-joking insult, a late-night "you up?" text, a meeting that should have been an email. You jump, they push harder. Because the minute a reaction is guaranteed, respect evaporates. Now flip the script. Picture a room where everyone competes to be loudest, except you. You're leaning back, phone face down, watching the chessboard. You answer on your schedule, and only if the move matters. Your stillness starts to feel radioactive. Eyes drift your way without understanding why. That tension, that hush, is social scarcity bias at work. When access is limited, perceived value spikes. You didn't have to posture, sell, or shout. You simply refused to be an emotional vending machine. And in that refusal, you became magnetic. But if quiet is so powerful, why does it feel dangerous? Because we've been tricked into believing availability equals goodness. In reality, constant exposure turns you into a brand. People sample for free. Mystique, not volume, breeds influence. Just ask Jung. He could pause so long in conversation that his students projected flashes of genius onto the silence. Was it brilliance? Was it thoughtful delay? The beauty is that no one could ever be sure, and that uncertainty is priceless. Think of manipulators as master pianists. Your visible buttons are their ivory keys. They observe which note sparks embarrassment, which chord triggers guilt, which melody gets you sprinting to defend yourself. Operant conditioning in plain English: press button, get dance. Leave those buttons exposed, and you spend life reacting to every prod, every eyebrow raise, every passive-aggressive sigh. Worse, you start anticipating the poke before it lands, bending yourself preemptively to avoid conflict that might never come. That's not diplomacy, that's self-erasure. Here's where Jung's concept of the shadow slips in. Everything you hide, anger, ambition, even healthy selfishness, doesn't vanish. It camps in the dark, growing louder. When someone jabs the right spot, your repressed side explodes, and for a glittering second, the puppet strings snap. You rant, you plead, you overshare, and then the hangover hits. You just donated your power on a silver platter. The antidote isn't thicker armor, it's fewer exposed switches. Start small. When the habitual late texter demands an instant reply, leave the message on read for an hour, then 2. When a coworker fishes for validation with a humble brag, let the lure dangle in dead air. No eye roll, no sigh, just serene non-engagement. Each withheld reaction snips a string. Over time, the manipulator's piano shrinks to a toy keyboard that no longer plays. They're forced either to speak to the real you or drift off in search of easier prey. Warning, mystery is not ice. You're not freezing people out. You're redirecting the heat inward. Indifference is apathy that rots connection. Mystery is disciplined focus that deepens it. You still feel everything: joy, rage, heartbreak, but you choose when the feeling deserves an audience. That choice is sovereignty. Picture 2 fires. One blazes in an open field, flames whipped ragged by every gust. The other crackles in a stone hearth, air fed through a narrow vent. Same fire, different architecture. The hearth fire warms the entire room without devouring it. Your boundaries are that stonework. They don't scream, they don't bargain, they simply stand. Friends sense it. Strangers sense it. Button pushers definitely sense it, and most retreat. Those who stay discover that beyond the gate is richer conversation, deeper loyalty, and a calm they crave. Mystery also buys the most underrated currency in the modern world: time. A silent pause before you speak lets emotions settle, lets truth float to the surface. In that pause, you can ask, does this demand my energy or just my ego? 9 times out of 10, the answer is ego. Delete, archive, or smile politely and walk away. Every preserved minute compounds like interest, funding projects, workouts, dream journaling, midnight brainstorming, anything that expands rather than drains you. So here's the checkpoint as we close. Part 1. You've identified the smile on demand reflex, tracked the button pushers in your orbit, and tasted the clean air of chosen silence. Next, we dive into the harder cut, letting go of roles, jobs, even relationships that can't survive your new scarcity. Detachment isn't defeat, it's liberation. And the moment you feel that first slice of freedom, you'll wonder why you ever traded it for applause. What if the single line tethering you to stress is one you're gripping voluntarily? Carl Jung once torched early notebooks, ideas he'd nursed for years, because clinging to past brilliance blocked the next breakthrough. That bonfire wasn't a loss. It was a controlled burn to clear space for new growth. Try the same mental match. List one relationship, one job habit, and one lingering self-doubt that drain more than they deliver. Stare at each entry until you feel the familiar tightness in your chest, then ask, if I walk away, do I shrink or expand? Detachment stings at first because our brains equate familiarity with safety. Quit the job that milks your weekends dry, and fear hisses, unemployed means unworthy. End the situationship that thrives on crumbs, and panic taunts, better crumbs than nothing. But here's the plot twist. The instant you release what suffocates you, oxygen rushes in. Projects dormant for years suddenly look possible. Evenings once hijacked by doom scrolling become gym sessions, late night reading, or phone-off brainstorming. Critics complain that detachment breeds narcissism, that declaring "not my circus" is an excuse to dodge responsibility. They're half right and fully wrong. Real detachment doesn't abandon duty. It discards the illusion that you must bleed to be useful. A 2019 UC Berkeley study found people with clear emotional boundaries scored higher in empathy because they weren't drowning in resentment. You can't pour water if your own cup is cracked. Boundaries work best when they hum in the background like a security system. Always on, rarely advertised. You don't need a social media manifesto about cutting toxic people. You need silent protocols that protect your bandwidth. Example 1. Turn read receipts off, grayscale your phone, and schedule do not disturb windows. Suddenly every ping feels less like a fire alarm and more like optional mail. Example 2. Money meetings. If colleagues love ambushing you in the hallway, set a default line. Happy to discuss, shoot me a time. Then walk away. No eye rolling, no lecture. The boundary is the calm repetition of process. They either respect the structure or reveal themselves as chaos dealers. Remember, loud boundaries are brittle. Quiet ones are granite. When you hold them without flinching, people register the signal subconsciously. Access is earned here, not assumed. The side effect? Your value rises like limited edition stock. But scarcity alone isn't the goal, it's the filter. The friends who text, haven't heard from you, hope you're thriving, instead of, where have you been? Move to inner circle status. The boss who respects your calendar earns 110% effort. Silence separates signal from noise without a single dramatic exit post. Silence can be armor or a muzzle. The difference is motive. Repression is fear-driven lockdown. You swallow rage, bottle grief, smile until your teeth ache. Sooner or later, the pressure blows. Cue the midnight rant, the tear-soaked voicemail, the social media overshare. Self-control, in contrast, is clarity in motion. You feel the fury rise. You examine it. You decide whether the moment deserves that energy. Sometimes the answer is yes, and you speak with surgical precision. Often it's no, and you let the storm spend itself while you stay dry. Think back to Jung's legendary pauses. He wasn't choking on words, he was choosing them. That micro-meditation turned every sentence into an event. You can steal the trick. Next time a meeting heats up, sip water, scan the room, let 5 seconds crawl. In those 5 seconds, you'll notice who's bluffing, who's bullying, who's genuinely seeking truth, then respond or withhold accordingly. Those 5 seconds are free, yet they buy authority that shouting never earns. Now introduce active patience, the mindset predators on the savannah live by. They don't sprint at every rustle. They wait for certainty, conserving calories until the odds tilt. For humans, active patience means draft the furious email, save it, reread tomorrow. Pause 24 hours before spending hard-earned cash on a shiny impulse. Let gossip age. If the urgent rumor is still relevant next week, address it. Impulse chains you to other people's timelines. Patience snaps those chains, because time itself starts fighting on your side. Here's the final litmus test. After a silent pause, do you feel lighter or heavier? Lighter means self-control, strength contained. Heavier means repression, truth gagged. If it's the latter, schedule a release valve. Journal brutally, talk to a therapist, sprint a hill. Suppressed emotion is acid. It wrecks the vessel first. Quick reality check. If your attention traded on Wall Street, would it open at blue chip prices or in the penny stock gutter? Your answer is written in every knee-jerk, sure. Every midnight reply, every Zoom where you mute your own ideas so louder voices can vamp. Price follows supply. Flood the market with easy access, and people treat you like clearance rack merchandise. Clamp the gate, and suddenly they start bidding. So set a floor price. First rule, no one buys your focus for free. Before you answer a text, a DM, a meeting invite, run it through a 10-second ticker tape. Will this make me sharper, richer, calmer, or kinder? If the feed comes back blank, silence. Not passive silence, but calculated scarcity. Remember, the Sistine Chapel ceiling took 4 years. Michelangelo never apologized for the wait time. Your creative ceiling deserves the same patience. Next, institute the 24-hour cooldown. Emotional text arrives, archive it, sleep, reread with coffee. 90% of urgent fires are just sparks that die overnight. By morning, your calm response or your majestic non-response signals that your headspace is premium real estate and impulse buyers need not apply. Keep tally. Every ignored bait adds a tick to your internal value graph. You'll feel the shift when chronic interrupters start scheduling instead of barging, when serial texters compress 5 messages into 1 polite paragraph, when even your own doubts knock before entering. Here's the knife that really cuts the cords. The word no. Whispered, not yelled. No to coffee catch-ups that circle the same gossip drain. No to opportunities that promise exposure but pay in peanuts. No to half-alive connections kept on life support because both sides fear the flatline. Dignity isn't arrogance, it's calibrated self-respect. You're not swatting people away. You're pruning the vine so healthier fruit can grow. Think of the vineyard owner who clips perfectly good clusters because overcrowding weakens the harvest. Each conscious rejection returns light and nutrients to what remains. Expect backlash. People who fed on your insecurities will claim you've changed, that you're too good for us now. Translation, your boundaries are inconvenient to my comfort. Smile, nod, move along. If it stings, repeat this line like armor. Every yes rents space in my life. I choose my tenants. The shocking payoff, genuine allies surface the moment you stop auditioning. They don't need hand-holding or 3 a.m. status reports. They respect the locked door because they own one too. Mutual dignity becomes the handshake. Scarcity without substance is a bluff. Flashy car, empty tank. Substance without scarcity is a library book everyone can dog-ear. Fuse them and you turn into myth. You show up seldom, but when you do, you drop data, humor, or vision. So distilled it rewires the mood of the room. That's presence. Watch how manipulators react. The guilt tripper fires off a wall of text. Crickets. The office glory hog sends last-minute tasks. Declined with a factual, non-apologetic line. Their confusion looks almost comic. Meanwhile, quality people lean in. A single thoughtful comment from you starts group chats, strategy pivots, late-night brainstorms. Your absence creates demand. Your controlled presence meets it. Classic supply and demand curve drawn in human attention. And here's the paradox that should thrill you. You become memorable precisely because you're not constantly visible. Think of the lunar eclipse: rare, brief, impossible to ignore. Crowds gather, phones tilt skyward, silence blankets the street. Then it's over, and everyone talks about it for days. Be the eclipse, not the streetlight buzzing all night. Practical anchor, schedule black site days. Phone in airplane mode, email auto reply set to focus work, back tomorrow. You'll crank through passion projects while your perceived value skyrockets. When you resurface with results, manuscript finished, code deployed, business plan refined, people don't just notice, they respect the silence that made it possible. We've trekked from smile on demand servitude to hush powered sovereignty. You've torched dead weight, installed granite quiet boundaries, traded impulse for active patience, inflated your market cap, and learned that selective absence breeds legendary presence. The only step left is ritual, locking today's insights into muscle memory. So, here's your closing dare. For the next 7 days, answer every non-critical message on a 24-hour delay. No announcement, no auto-explanation. Watch who respects the pause, who panics, and who vanishes. Journal the ripple effect. How much deeper you breathe, how much sharper your ideas hit the page, how much cleaner your mirror feels at midnight. Then share just one line in the comments. No paragraphs, no context. My silence is not absence, it's dominion. Each identical sentence will look like quiet soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder in the feed, proof that a new standard of self-respect is going viral. If these 2,700 words cracked something open in you, if you can already taste the calm that needs no applause, subscribe. We'll keep pulling back curtains on the power plays nobody teaches in school. Until then, I leave you the richest gift I own: silence. Guard it like a vault, wield it like a blade, and remember, the quieter you become, the louder your life will speak.